Hey everyone, welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Henry, and as always, I'm here with my amazing co-host, Sarah. How's it going, Sarah?
Hey Henry, I'm great and super excited about today's topic. This one's a big one, especially for English learners who want to take things to the next level.
Oh yes, definitely. So today, we're diving into something that a lot of learners ask about: how do I start thinking in English? And honestly, it's one of the most powerful habits you can build if you want to speak more naturally and confidently.
Exactly. Thinking in English helps you speak faster, understand better, and stop depending on translation all the time. But we know it's not easy at first. It can feel awkward or even impossible.
Totally normal. And that's why we're here today. We'll break it all down. What it really means to think in English, why it's important, the struggles you might face, and most importantly, practical tips to help you do it every day.
And don't worry, we'll keep things simple and fun, and we'll even do a little role play later on to show you what thinking in English can look like in action.
So whether you're a beginner or intermediate learner, this episode is for you. Let's make English a part of your everyday thinking. Ready to go, Sarah?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
So Sarah, let's start with the big question. What does it actually mean to think in English? Because I think a lot of learners hear that phrase and go, wait, how do I even do that?
Right. And honestly, it sounds a little mysterious at first. But thinking in English just means that instead of translating everything from your native language into English, you try to form your thoughts directly in English.
Exactly. It doesn't mean you suddenly stop using your native language completely. It just means you're training your brain to use English as your first response, especially for simple, everyday thoughts.
Yes, and I think it's important to say you don't have to think in full, perfect English sentences right away. It can be really simple, like instead of thinking estoy cansada and then translating it to I am tired, you just go straight to I'm tired in your mind.
That's a great example. And at the beginning, it might just be words or short phrases, like seeing a cup of coffee and thinking coffee or hot coffee instead of the word in your native language.
Exactly. It's like building little English habits in your mind, first with simple words, then phrases, and eventually full thoughts. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes.
It's kind of like building a muscle, right? At first it feels slow or uncomfortable, but with practice, it gets stronger.
Totally. And one thing learners often think is that thinking in English means speaking out loud to yourself all day long, but that's not true. It's mostly internal. It's what's happening in your mind as you go through your day.
Right. So if you're walking to the store and you think I need to buy eggs in English, bam! That's thinking in English. It's that simple.
Exactly. No need to overcomplicate it. It's not about speaking perfectly in your head. It's just about using English as your default language for thoughts.
I love that. So just to recap, thinking in English means using English words, phrases, or thoughts directly in your mind instead of translating from your first language. And it can be really simple and natural. You don't have to be perfect.
Yes, start small, stay consistent, and you'll notice a big difference over time.
All right, coming up next, why this is so important for your fluency and what happens when you make this shift. Let's dive into that.
So now that we know what thinking in English really means, let's talk about why it matters so much. Because this small change in your mind can make a huge difference in how you use English.
Oh, absolutely. When you start thinking in English, you'll notice that your speaking becomes faster and more natural because you're not stopping every few seconds to translate.
Exactly. That whole translation process takes time. If you're thinking in your first language and then translating into English, you're basically doing double the work.
And it causes that awkward pause. You know when someone asks you a simple question like, "What did you do yesterday?" and your brain freezes because you're translating your whole day from your native language?
Haha, yes, that happens to so many learners. But when you think in English, your brain already has the answer ready to go. Even if it's simple, you can respond much faster.
Right. And here's something important. You don't need big, complex vocabulary to think in English. Just start with what you know. Even thinking, "I ate breakfast, then I went to work," is powerful.
And it's not just speaking, it helps with listening and understanding too. When your mind is used to processing English, you can follow conversations more easily without needing subtitles or translations.
That's true. And if you're someone who wants to live or work abroad or even just travel confidently, this skill is super useful. You'll feel more prepared and less anxious.
Yes, and let's be real. Sometimes we avoid speaking because we're afraid we'll make mistakes or sound slow. But when you're thinking in English more often, your confidence grows because it doesn't feel like a performance. It just feels like thinking.
Exactly. So in short, thinking in English helps you speak faster, understand better, and feel more confident. It turns English from something you study into something you actually use.
Beautifully said. And up next, we're going to talk about the struggles. Because let's be honest, it's not always easy at the start. But don't worry, we've got tips to help with that too.
Stick around. We'll be right back. All right. So now we know how important it is to think in English. But let's be real for a second, Sarah. It's not easy at first, right?
Oh, definitely not. And if you're listening to this and thinking I've tried, but it's too hard, you're not alone. It's something every English learner struggles with in the beginning.
Absolutely. One of the biggest struggles I hear is that learners are afraid of making mistakes, even in their own thoughts. Like, what if I think in the wrong tense? Or, what if the sentence I form in my head isn't correct?
Yes, and I always tell learners it's okay to make mistakes in your mind. You're not on stage. No one is judging you. This is your practice space. Mistakes are part of the learning process.
Totally agree. And another big one, vocabulary gaps. People start to think in English, but then they get stuck because they don't know a certain word. That can be really frustrating.
Right. And when that happens, you can either describe the word using other simple English words or even just say the thing you cook with instead of frying pan. That's actually a great way to improve your vocabulary too.
Exactly. And you'll probably remember that word better next time because you had to work for it.
Another struggle I hear often is that people switch back to their native language without noticing. Like they try to think in English for a few minutes, then boom, they're back to their own language without meaning to.
Oh yeah, and that's totally normal. It's like any new habit. It takes time to build. The key is to keep trying and not give up. Even just catching yourself and going, "Oops, I switched back. Let me try again," is a win.
Yes. And don't expect to think in English all day from day one. Start with just 5 or 10 minutes. Maybe when you're brushing your teeth or walking to work. Build from there.
I love that. Start small, stay consistent. Another challenge I want to mention is panic or stress. Sometimes people feel overwhelmed, like their mind goes blank when they want to think in English.
That's a really common feeling. But again, be kind to yourself. Take a deep breath. Even saying something super simple like, "Okay, it's morning, I'm tired, coffee now" in English is a great start.
Exactly. There's no pressure to be perfect. The goal isn't perfect grammar in your head. The goal is to train your brain to use English naturally.
So to everyone listening, yes, there will be struggles. You'll forget, you'll feel stuck, and that's okay. The important thing is, you're trying, and every effort counts.
Absolutely. Coming up next, we'll shift from problems to solutions. We're sharing 7 practical, easy ways to start thinking in English every day. You won't want to miss it. All right, before we jump into the practical tips, we need to talk about something really important, and that's mindset. Because a lot of learners believe they need to have perfect English in their heads before they can start thinking in English.
Yes, and let me just say this loud and clear. You do not need perfect English to think in English. In fact, waiting until you're perfect is what slows down your progress.
Exactly. I mean, think about how kids learn a language. They don't wait until they know every grammar rule. They just use what they know. They say things like, "Me want cookie," and everyone understands them.
That's such a good point. And honestly, the same thing works for adults. Even if your English is simple, even if the sentence is not 100% perfect, you're still practicing the skill of thinking in English.
Right. And we want to encourage you to be okay with imperfect English in your mind. Maybe you don't know the past perfect tense. That's okay. Just say it in the way you know.
Fluency is not about perfection. It's about flow. It's about getting your message across and being comfortable using the language you already have.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, your thoughts don't have to sound like a textbook. They just have to be yours in English.
So give yourself permission to make mistakes, to use simple words, to be a little messy. That's how real language learning works.
And honestly, that mindset shift can make the whole process feel a lot less scary and a lot more fun.
Absolutely. All right, now that we've got the right mindset, let's move on to the fun part 7, practical ways you can start thinking in English today. Ready?
Let's do it! All right, it's time for the good stuff, the practical part. We're going to walk you through 7 simple ways you can train your brain to start thinking in English. And the best part? You don't need any fancy tools, just your mind and a little consistency.
Yes, these are tips you can do anywhere, even if you're busy. Okay, let's jump into the first one. Tip 1. Name things around you in English. This one is super simple. Just look around and name objects in English. For example, if you're in your kitchen, think table, spoon, cup, sink, fridge.
Exactly. You're training your brain to connect the object directly with the English word, not through translation. Try doing this while walking, cleaning, or commuting. It adds up over time. Tip 2. Talk to yourself in English. Okay, don't worry. This one doesn't mean you have to talk out loud if you're not comfortable. You can just talk silently in your head. For example, I'm hungry. I should check my email. It's cold today.
Right. It's like narrating your thoughts in English. Start with simple sentences. It might feel strange at first, but it becomes more natural very quickly. Tip 3. Create simple English thoughts. During routine tasks, when you're brushing your teeth, doing dishes, or waiting for the bus, try to make simple English sentences about what you're doing, like I'm washing the dishes, the water is hot, I need more soap.
Exactly. These everyday moments are perfect practice times. You don't need to sit down and study. Just use what's already happening in your life. Tip 4. Use English in your daily journal or notes. If you like journaling or taking notes, try doing it in English, even just a few lines a day. Like today, I worked from 9 to 5. I felt tired, but I'm proud of myself.
Yes, you don't need perfect grammar. Just write what you're thinking. Over time, your brain will start forming those sentences faster and more naturally. Tip 5. Watch English shows and repeat sentences. Mentally. This is a fun one. When you're watching a show or YouTube video in English, pick a sentence and repeat it in your mind. Try to hear yourself saying it.
Yes, like if the character says, "Let's get some coffee," you repeat in your head, "Let's get some coffee." You're not just watching, you're mentally practicing the rhythm and sound of English. Tip 6. Practice, what would I say? Scenarios. This one's cool. Imagine a situation, like ordering at a restaurant or asking for directions, and ask yourself, what would I say in English? Then try to answer in your mind.
Exactly. It's like mini role play in your brain. And you can get creative: job interview, first date, shopping, airport. It helps you prepare mentally for real conversations. Tip 7. Set mini English challenges. Each day, finally, give yourself a daily challenge. Something small like today. I'll describe my lunch in English, or I'll think in English for 10 minutes while walking.
It keeps you motivated. You can even write these on a sticky note or in your phone as a reminder. Small daily goals lead to big progress.
So just to recap, here are the 7 ways. 1. Name things around you in English. 2. Use your inner voice in English. 3. Think during routine tasks. 4. Journal or write notes in English. 5. Mentally repeat sentences from shows. 6. Practice, what would I say? Situations. 7. Set daily English thinking challenges.
These are all easy to try and don't take much time. Even just choosing 1 or 2 to start with can make a big difference.
And remember, don't worry about being perfect. Just start thinking in the English you already know. The rest will grow with time.
Coming up next, we're going to do a quick role play to show what thinking in English actually looks like in a real-life situation. Stick around, all right? So, to make everything we've talked about a bit more real, let's do a quick role-play example to show what thinking in English might actually look like in someone's everyday routine.
Yes, let's imagine someone. We'll call her Maria. She's learning English and trying to build the habit of thinking in English. We're going to walk through part of her day and show you the kinds of thoughts she might have in English.
Exactly. Let's say it's early morning and Maria just woke up.
It's 7 a.m. I'm so sleepy. Okay, get up. Today is Monday. Work starts at 9.
Where's my phone? Oh, it's on the table. Let me check my messages. Nothing new.
Time to take a shower. The water's cold. Come on, warm up, please.
What should I wear today? Black pants and the blue shirt. Yeah, that looks good.
I'm hungry. What's for breakfast? Toast and coffee. Easy.
Where are my keys? Ah, in my bag. Okay, ready to go.
So, as you can hear, these aren't complicated sentences. They're short, simple thoughts, but they're in English. That's the key.
Exactly. You don't have to speak out loud or use big words. Just use what you know to narrate your day inside your mind. That's thinking in English.
And the more you do this, the faster your brain connects ideas in English without needing to translate.
Coming up next, we'll wrap things up with a few final tips and a small weekly challenge to help you stay consistent. Before we wrap up, Sarah, let's take some time to answer a few common questions and clear up some myths about thinking in English. These are things we hear a lot from our listeners.
Great idea, Henry. Okay, first question. Do I have to think in perfect English to improve? What do you say?
Definitely not. Perfect English isn't necessary. The goal is to practice using English in your mind, even if the grammar isn't perfect or your vocabulary is limited. Mistakes are part of learning.
Exactly. Next question. What if I can't stop translating from my native language? This one is super common.
Yeah, it's totally normal at the start. One trick is to slowly replace short, common phrases with English equivalents. For example, instead of thinking, "How are you?" in your language and translating it, just practice thinking, "How are you?" in English until it feels natural.
And don't forget, it takes time. Be patient and keep practicing little by little.
Another myth we hear a lot. If I think in English, will I lose my native language? What's your take on that?
Great question. No way. Thinking in English won't make you lose your first language. In fact, being bilingual or multilingual is awesome for your brain. You're just adding a new way to express yourself.
Absolutely. Last one, can I think in English if I don't speak much yet?
Yes, even if you only know a few words, you can start thinking in English by using simple words or phrases, like looking at an object and thinking its English name. That's the very beginning of thinking in English.
Perfect. So remember, no pressure to be perfect. Take it step by step. And don't believe the myths that hold you back.
Right. Keep practicing, and your brain will get used to thinking in English more and more every day.
Well, Sarah, we've covered a lot today. From what thinking in English really means to why it's so important, the common struggles, mindset shifts, practical tips, and even a role-play example.
Yes, and to all our listeners, remember, thinking in English is a skill you build slowly, just like learning to ride a bike. It might feel wobbly at first, but with practice, it becomes natural.
Exactly. The key is to be patient and kind to yourself. Celebrate the small wins, like thinking a sentence in English or naming objects without translating.
And don't forget, every bit of practice brings you closer to fluency. Your brain is amazing and can adapt. You've got this.
Thanks for joining us today on English Learning Podcast. We hope you found this episode helpful and feel motivated to start thinking in English.
We'd love to hear how you're practicing. Send us your questions or stories. Your progress inspires us and other learners too.
Until next time, keep practicing, stay curious, and remember, thanks so much for listening to today's episode of English Learning Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our chat about how to think in English.
If you liked this episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends who are learning English too.
And don't forget to follow us on social media for more tips and updates. Links are in the description.
See you next time.